Hello and welcome to the Keys to AWS Optimization, the show where we share stories, concepts, and solutions to help you unlock cost optimization at AWS. I am your host today, Alex Head, taking over for the great Steph Gooch for just one episode. And I lead the optics team here at AWS. And Scotty, want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure thing. I'm Scotty Enriquez from Los Angeles, California. I'm a solutions architect underneath Alex and currently reporting live from the SeaTac airport. So if I suddenly disappear, it's the Wi-Fi.
And hi, everyone. I'm Wade Peel, based out of Seattle. Been with AWS for just about 7 years, and I'm one of our newest optics team members.
Awesome. Well, the three people that you are looking at right now were part of the optics reInvent Dream team. And Scotty and Wade was their first year, right? First year at reInvent?
That's correct.
Yes. And we had a great but exhausting time. But let's go in a little bit to what our weeks looked like. So I know we all had sessions separate, and none of us actually were partnered on sessions. We all had customer meetings. We all had many fun events and lots of walking. And Scotty got stuck on a bus or two. But Wade, give me the overview. Like when you tell someone who has no idea what reInvent was or is, like, how did you explain what the heck you did last week?
Yeah, well, if you've ever been to a tech conference, it's similar to that, but just think about it like way bigger. Lots more people and lots more events going on, both related to the AWS content and then other stuff not related, just fun things that they had available for people to do there. And then of course it's in Las Vegas, so there's all those other shows that people get to see and everything like that. But as far as my specific work goes, I had a lot of customer meetings, which was great. Love to be able to meet with our customers, especially in person, and then had the opportunity to deliver a session on purchase option optimization, which was something that I've been dealing with ever since I got to AWS. So that was really exciting. And then also we got to help promote one of our cloud financial management tools, the Cloud Financial Management Capability Assessment. And so a lot of customers got to hear about that for the first time. And if you're interested in assessing your FinOps practice, talk to your account manager so that you can take one of those CFM capability assessments.
Yes, great point. And we should definitely dive into that too. But if you guys are joining us live, drop your location or questions or anything into the chat. If you were at reInvent, say hi as well. What was your favorite part of the week or least favorite? At my house, we do our peak and pit, right? What's your peak and pit of reInvent? And also like what announcements came out that you are excited about or maybe even have more questions about. Scotty, what did your week look like? Besides your pineapple shirt and pink pants.
Yeah, so the pineapple shirt and pink pants, we'll figure out a way to get that in the show notes. My good friend and colleague Savannah and I decided to go as tropical Barbie look to just brighten up everybody's reInvent when it came to CFM. Other than that, I dressed normal for better or worse, but it was a crazy week for sure. Like Alex mentioned, it was my first time as well. So I was very much blown away by just the logistics of it. I think they said there's like 50,000 people or something like that. And it really feels like it, particularly in the mornings when you're trying to get to the expo hall and go meet with people. The other thing that kind of surprised me is when I looked at my schedule, I was like, on any given day, I maybe had 4 or 5 things, which on a normal working day doesn't sound like a ton, but realizing that I was at Harrah's and had to go to the Venetian and MGM, and getting stuck on a bus due to some construction made for some fun challenges of the logistics there. But in terms of my schedule, I worked with, like I said, my good friend and colleague Savannah and several others, including one of the product managers, on a simplify your chargeback with ABC or AWS Billing Conductor. So it was apparently a very popular session, and they added 3 repeats. So I did 4 of those, including, surprisingly, we had the very last slot on Thursday evening. And it ended up being some of the best discussion that we had entirely. So it was awesome to see people come and bring that energy all the way to the very end. But I did that, and then had I think I went to about 6 or 7 customer meetings, met with the FinOps Foundation for the first time, which I think we'll dive into a little bit later, probably in our customer stories. But it was just a blast. I did not have any downtime, and I've been traveling, and I'm excited to be home because I haven't really been home since reInvent.
Yes, yes, I feel you on that. And I mean, it's interesting too, because we all three did different formatted reInvent sessions. So I did with Steph a live coding one where we went through the Cur, which was a new thing for reInvent. And we have a video version of it up, and we'll drop that link in. And it was a learning curve a bit. Like they didn't really set us up to sit down and code, but that's okay. And poor Steph, any mistake that she made, we tallied, and then she had to do the water like challenge for that many times, and I chickened out. So she had to do it alone. And then Scotty did. It's called a Chalk Talk, right?
Builder
I did the
session.
talk.
Builder session. You
Yep.
did Chalk Talk, okay?
Yeah.
And so the builder session is like the different tables, and people kind of break out into groups. And then Wade, what was sort of the format of yours?
Yeah, Chalk Talk is about a 10 to 15-minute presentation. So it's really meant to just be an overview of the topic as a level set, and then the rest is audience questions. So I really like that because our customers, got direct access to my co-presenter Natalia and I, and we basically just got a riff with the customer for 45 minutes on their questions. And we even had folks that stayed after the session to ask some additional questions. So it was really cool.
Awesome. And Wade and I also did a podcast recording while we were at reInvent. We'll also make sure that when that goes live, or if it is live, that we add the link in here. And that was all around the Kudos dashboard and some of the launches that they had last week as well. I'm going to start putting some of the comments in, and I'm hoping that these aren't overlapping with our favorite reInvent announcement. But oh, well, there. Savannah just has a heart. I'm learning here, guys. I'm not Steph. John with really excited about the longer retention on Cost Explorer data up to 38 months. Yes, that was a big one. I will say our cost products had some huge announcements during reInvent. I mean, knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. That was really exciting. We also have right here, looking forward to all the recordings. I think Steph, if she's still listening in, make sure that we have all those on our channel that you'll see this. And then the next question to come in is, we were going to tackle this a little later, but let's go ahead and do it. What was the best piece of swag you got? So I am wearing mine. It was the FinOps Foundation had these hats. Oh, I keep forget this mirror image. And they're like very thick and comfy, and it's a good hat. And so I would say that that's my favorite. And then my second favorite is the one that I handed out, because I made this year our stickers for the optics team. And I did them on Adobe Firefly. So I was like, I want a spray painted cloud that's raining money and have all the ups and downs of a graph. So that was really fun to do. Wade, what was your favorite piece of swag?
Well, I have to thank Steph for my favorite piece of swag because she hooked it up and was able to connect me with someone who gave me an air tag. So this is from CloudFix, and they were able to get us an air tag. And I heard a story about one of our other optics team members who had lost their bag. And because they had an air tag in their bag, they were able to locate it. So pro tip from the optics team on finding your bag. And then just kind of a fun one. This a little cloud here, and this is from Tier Points, and they help customers manage their infrastructure, both hybrid, and in the cloud. So nice little fun one, but also really practical one with the AirTag as well from CloudFix.
Yes, I love that. That one is so cute. Scotty, we're assuming you do not have your swag just chilling with you at SeaTac, but what was your favorite piece of swag?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I'm glad I heard the origin story of the AirTag because Steph just gave me that and was like, "Do you want an AirTag?" And I was like, "Okay." So good to know where that came from. So I had a few pieces that I thought were good. So number one, I'm due for a laptop refresh next year. Wink, wink, Alex. Make sure that happens. And then, so I had to re-up on all my stickers. I don't think the ones I have will transfer particularly well. So lots of incredible stickers from that side. What ended up being the best piece of swag for me was I went to a FinOps Foundation event where I talked about some of the new releases, and they gave me a really cool pin. So I'm a huge fan of the FinOps Foundation logo. And somebody stopped me and they said, I love that pen. Can I have it? And I was like, Steph has taught me about the swag economy at reInvent. So I was like, naturally, I was like, well, what can I get for this? And so I ended up trading that up for a hoodie and an extra shirt and another water bottle. So shout outs to the FinOps
No
Foundation
way.
for, yeah, I guess it was just that cool of a pin. Because when they asked me for it, at first I was worried they were going to ask for my EBC speaker pin. And I was like, I probably shouldn't just give that one away, but it
Yeah,
was the
not a good
FinOps
idea.
Foundation one. Yeah. So handed that one off and, traded up. And so now, because I'm still a college guy at heart, even though I'm 33 years old, and I will go anywhere with free pizza and a free t-shirt. So many t-shirts. I don't have to buy clothes for a while.
Please still buy clothes. But I didn't know. Okay, so that's not the story that I thought you were gonna say. Okay, that is so cool. Someone is asking, did we get a Las Vegas FinOps Roadshow sticker? I did not. I got very little swag. I was on the move constantly. But I want one, and I'm sure Steph did because she got every bit of swag possible. Very important question coming in. Did you meet any cool FinOps celebs? Which Steph responded to as they met me. But I think for me, we have how our week looks, or specifically mine, but it's very similar, right? The first priority is your session, what you are a speaker for and what you got picked for. So you get to Vegas and you do your speaker readiness, make sure you're good to go. And then on your other slots, you do things like are booked for executive briefings with customers and booth duty. So like sitting at some of the AWS Village and so forth. And in the executive briefings that we do, and those are all still in the Venetian as well, got to meet a lot of customers that had full like FinOps titles, right? And to me, that was really, really cool because every year at reInvent, I see a little bit more and a little bit more of that. But when I first started Optics and I was trying to hire people, I mean, I think Steph was one of the only people on LinkedIn that had FinOps in their bio. I mean, and now for people to introduce themselves in a briefing with me as the head of FinOps or the FinOps lead, and I think that was kind of like a celeb moment for me, I guess I would say. I met a few others that I think people would think are FinOps celebs, but I'll keep their names. Scotty's probably going to say it though. So, did you guys meet any FinOps celebs?
I'll let Scotty go first.
I was going to say, just from afar, I saw Corey Quinn, but I was too nervous to say hi and ask her a picture. But in a lot of ways, too, it was like I almost felt like I was the celeb for a second, even though I'm
You
not
are.
a FinOps celeb at all, because we had our orange badges at the FinOps Foundation event, and it was from my understanding, I think it was like one of the first things we did together since AWS joined the foundation. So it was great to just meet a ton of people that knew of Optics, that knew of Steph, of course, that they knew of you, Alex, and so. But yeah, and got to see so many friendly faces. I'll give a shout out to my buddy Umakant from Rivian. He's a big fan of the show, and I work a lot with him. So hi, buddy. But it's good to meet him in person and a lot of the FinOps like thought leaders at that event that was on Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. I also saw that's what I was implying, the Corey Quinn sighting. I resist the temptation to compare some Optic savings to theirs, but all savings are good. Wade, any celebrities on your front?
Yeah. So you mentioned, that podcast that we're on. We were on John
Oh yeah,
Meyer's podcast, and we got to record at the Blue Wire Studio. So I felt
that
like
was awesome.
that was really fun experience. I felt like, there was a celebrity sighting, more than one there, because I also got to meet Yuri in person, who helps to manage our cloud intelligence dashboard. So I feel like he's a, AWS celebrity in a lot of ways. We got to meet him. And to Scotty's note, I also kind of felt like a celebrity in my own way a little bit, especially being part of the optics team. We had a lot of people that were coming up to us and saying, "Oh yeah, I know optics," which was really cool to be a part of. But also during my session, I had someone come up after our chalk talk and said, "Hey, I had seen you speak before, and so I came to see your talk." And so that was really cool as well. As like they saw I had the opportunity to speak at Software One Sales Kickoff this year, and they had saw that talk, and then they wanted to come see my chalk talk. So at least, I did good enough job the first time that they're willing to come see it again.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's awesome. Someone said any Aaron Adele sightings. If you have ever met Aaron Adele in person, if he is in the vicinity of you, it is hard to miss him. He kind of stands out above
Yep.
the crowd. So yes, a mini, and he came to I think all of our sessions. Obviously, a huge supporter of the optics team. So, I mean, we've oh, and one more thing on the celebrity piece. I would say I don't know if you guys were in the room at this, but during the FinOps event, when John Phillips got on stage and everyone was like hushing down, someone in the background said, like, as their voice was higher as people were going down, was like, "I just love optics." I was like, "Yes, perfect shout out time. Way to go." Um, all right, so let's go into our favorite announcements. Scotty, since your signal's going strong right now, just in case the TSA comes running for you, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, for sure. So I think my favorite one is definitely all the enhancements to Compute Optimizer. First of all, I definitely meant to look it up so that I could do it justice to see exactly how many instance types we support now, but I think it's like over 600. So it's just absolutely incredible work that they're doing. But they did a few things to allow us to finally, be able to customize these a bit, which customers have been asking for quite some time. And so a couple of things that you can now adjust are going to be what they call the headroom, which is essentially the extra buffer that's going to be added on top just to make sure that there's a lower risk of any sort of performance issues or anything like that, as well as the thresholds. So those are the two big. You can set the headroom to be 20% at the default. You can set it down to 0 if you want to achieve higher savings. And then you can go all the way up to 30 if you're looking for less risk. And then for the different thresholds, right, there's obviously various events that can affect things like CPU utilization. And so by default, it use P95, or excuse me, P99.5 threshold. So only 0.5% of that peak data gets excluded. That's now configurable to P95 or all the way down to P90, which is going to yield some of those highest savings. So just lots of incredible work coming from the Compute Optimizer folks. I think that's going to really open up a lot of doors. I know previously there was an engineer, I can't remember her name, unfortunately, that was on the Keys to Optimization previously, and she mentioned that when customers add memory metrics to Compute Optimizer, it really increases that savings potential by like over 300%. And so I think things like this is going to allow customers to use this a lot more. Like I mentioned, it's very conservative by default, but particularly in non-production environments, the ability to takes a little bit more risk where there's not any sort of SLAs or production requirements. It might unlock a lot of new savings for customers.
Yeah, and I also put in so Steph put in that actual announcement, but I put in the LinkedIn post of Rick, who owns that product team, how he described it on LinkedIn, because I think it gives a good overview as well from that standpoint. But yeah, I agree. I'm excited about that one. Wade, what about you? Oh, and also anyone who's listening, pop questions in. We might not, some of these things we're learning just as fast as you are, but we can go find the answer for you. And if we're not mentioning something, throw it in as well.
Yeah, so my favorite announcement, I think John Massey already mentioned it in the Twitch chat, but it's the increased look back period for Cost Explorer. And also as part of that, they also launched resource level granularity within Cost Explorer as well. So both of these things I think are going to be really good for our customers. So by default, you get 14 months of look back with Cost Explorer now. So that's really helpful when we're doing planning like year over year. Before it was only 12 months. So if you try to look at a full year's worth of data, you're always kind of losing that 1 month. So now you at least get a full year there. And then up to 36 months of look back period. So that's going to be really helpful for customers trying to identify year over year trends. And if they kind of like live in Cost Explorer all the time, then they're not trying to maintain that data outside somewhere else. They're able to just like analyze it within Cost Explorer itself. And then also the resource level granularity. So if we have those right sizing recommendations like Scotty's talking about, and we want to identify those specific EC2 instances and go look at what's their trend been over the last 14 days from a billing perspective. Are they on savings plans, things like that? We're able to dive deeper as a FinOps persona within Cost Explorer. And then also say we had some Lambda functions that all of a sudden started increasing in price, and we wanted to identify which Lambda function is it, so we can go to that specific team and figure out what's going on. We're able to do that now with that Cost Explorer resource level granularity. So you only get 14 days with the resource level granularity because it's a lot of details, right? But I think that's going to be really helpful for our customers wanting to get even more familiar with their cost and usage data.
Yes, I think it was Steph and I's reInvent session. We had an entire slide talking about how if you're going to be looking at the curve, you're going to be looking at your cost and usage data. Look at the resource granularity, right? That's how you actually go and make the changes. And I know when I sat more on the finance side, when I first started working in the AWS world, and I would go and tell an engineering team like, hey, go change this. If I couldn't map it back to any resources, then nothing was going to happen. So I think that is huge and so important, and something that I know that people have been asking for a long time. My favorite is the Cost Optimization Hub. And then I have one other one that I've kind of remembered as we were talking through, but I almost don't want to go too far into the Cost Optimization Hub because I want everyone to go see it and click around and see what all is new and the views and everything. What I like is that it brings it all to one place. And I also really, really excited about the future of it, right? So now that there is this hub and there is this place where we're putting all these different ways to optimize and different data points, it makes it really easy for other product teams across AWS to just come bring in that data as well. And there's some question of people like, what's the difference between this and maybe something I see in a different view? It should be the same across. So don't get confused in that way. It's just a different way to view those recommendations and that data. And to make sure that you're doing it the way that it works for you. My other one is the CloudWatch anomaly. I haven't really messed around with it. Oh, there's a bug in my room. Sorry. I haven't messed around with it myself, but it is the one that has been brought up to me the most since reInvent is wanting to understand how to use that, also how to use that with cost anomaly, right? Like, is there a way that you can look at what your usage is doing and does it align with the cost or does it not? And I'm really interested to dive into that a little bit more. I don't know if either of you guys have poked around with it yet.
I haven't poked around with it yet.
The CloudWatch one specifically.
Yeah, that was high on my list as well. I think that's going to be really helpful for folks. And I think we had on a recent Keys show, the one for Halloween, looking into runaway CloudWatch logs. So that should help with kind of getting in front of that.
Was that the one with a celebrity guest from Harry Potter on it?
I believe so. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, I love it. Another thing, and again, if there's other announcements we're not talking about, go ahead and throw them in. But not necessarily a reInvent announcement, but came out before reInvent, is that AWS was becoming a partner of the FinOps Foundation. And we've both, or all of us have talked about how we went to the FinOps event, and it was kind of this all-day thing. It broken out into a few different pieces, and it was definitely a highlight of the week. And I'd love to, position to you guys, who were you surprised to meet, or like what cool conversations did you have at that? Besides the fact that we were all screaming because of the music, I mean, I had really cool conversations around different ideas of hackathons and things that customers could do to get people more into the data, and how do we get a little bit more technical with FinOps. Also had a really cool conversation there with someone about how they're bringing FinOps into sustainability, and it was awesome to have all that going kind of at one time. What were some of the cool conversations y'all had at those events?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, I think it was just the variety, right? So naturally, a lot of the folks that were there were experts in FinOps. And so, but there were also folks that were a little bit newer in the journey. So I think for me, what was really cool was talking with some of the thought leaders in the space. Like I got to just the three of us, me, Ali Whitman of Optics fame, who, fun fact, I replaced on Optics, which is a big ask. And then Jason Rhodes from Intuit, who's always involved in like the FinOps X and all that stuff. And us just talking about like what's on the vanguard, where are things going, like where do we see this role in a couple of years. I think to me that was probably the most rewarding, in addition to getting outside of my bubble of customers, right? So in the optics team, we support a very specific sort of scale, if you will, right? So it was fun talking to companies of different sizes and different maturity levels and things like that. So I think it was good to kind of expand my horizons in both directions of maturity.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Wade?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to be part of an immersion day for one of my customers. They basically had all day one of the rooms in the Win, and they had different presenters coming in throughout the day. And so I had the opportunity to talk to them about FinOps, and they're just starting out their FinOps journey. And so we had a really great audience. The customers asking lots of questions. And what was really cool is right at the end, one of the engineers raised his hand and said, "Hey, this isn't more of a question, it's more of a statement." And he came from another company where they were using AWS very heavily. And he said, "You know what works the best is when the engineers get visibility into the cost and usage data." And I was like, yes, that's exactly what we were trying to talk about here. So it was really cool to hear from an engineer. And and FinOps, we preach all the time: get the engineers the data, the relevant data that they need, so that they can help make the right decisions, right? And this was coming directly from an engineer and saying, "Yeah, I want that at this new company, because that's what worked really well for us in the past." So that was really cool to hear, and it basically was a great cap on my talk with that customer. And then right away, I had to run to go to another customer meeting. So it's part of
Lots
reinvent,
of
right?
running.
Yeah.
Lots of running. And I think you put that well, it's kind of the theme of all of our favorite announcements, of all of our favorite conversations, right? Is more ways and more granularity in putting the data in people's hands. And um, I would love to actually kind of map. You guys are going to kill me for saying this. I'd love for us as a team to kind of map together all the new data pieces that you can engage with from these re:Invent announcements, and what people can look at. And we also have, okay, Eric put in here, Cur 2.0 and data exports, another nice announcement from re:Invent. Yes, I agree. More on the data theme. I had not read Eric's thing before I said that, so that's just how in sync optics is, guys. And let me put that down. So I guess as we're wrapping up, especially coming from two people whose first time at re:Invent, I've been at re:Invent as a customer and on this side, so I have kind of a weird perspective on it. But what would be your advice for the newbie next year? Customer and internal, right? So maybe someone on the team, and then also what would you tell a customer?
You want to go first, Wade?
Yeah, sure. So as far as the customers goes, there's I would say advocate on your behalf to get to re:Invent. Like if your org is saying, "Oh, we're not so sure about it, we're not sure if we're sending people," make a business case and say, "These are all the things that I'm going to learn there, and I'm going to take that back to my business, and it's going to save us money." I think it's going to help to go. And there's so much peripheral things as a customer that you're going to pick up that you maybe not didn't even intend to. And then as an AWS person, I'd say, go out and apply for a session that you want to speak at, because that's the best way to go, and that's pretty much the only way to go at AWS is speaking at a session. And so don't be shy, go out there and apply. It's really competitive, so make sure you have a good topic that's going to catch the eye of a customer, that's what's going to catch the eye of our team that's choosing for people to go.
Yes, great. And Scotty, you've got like 15 seconds.
Wear
So give
comfortable
us your
shoes,
tip.
bring snacks, and don't put a lot of stuff in your backpack because it gets heavy when you're walking miles per day. That's it.
Very much so. Yes. And I make these like survival kits for my team. I'll post it on LinkedIn so you can all see it. But it comes in handy. And I just like to say to wrap to you two, to Steph, to Savannah, to all of our customers that were at reInvent, what an amazing year. I think we are all exhausted and will be for a few weeks. But I'm just so proud of Optics. I'm so proud of the sessions. I'm so proud of product for all the announcements that came out, and how this world of FinOps is evolving, and how we got here. So with that, here's our highlights. The video will be posted, and thank you guys so much for joining us today.